14 weirdest places where people live in Europe. Have you ever looked at your neighborhood and thought, wow, this is boring? Well, you are not alone, but some people took that feeling to a whole new level. Imagine waking up inside a dark volcanic cave or having to walk across an active airport runway just to buy some milk. Today we are traveling across Europe to find the absolute strangest, most mind-blowing communities on the planet. Forget standard apartment blocks and basic suburbs. We are looking at real towns built in places that make zero sense. We have a town split down the middle by two countries, a village where cars are completely banned, and a community hiding inside a massive rock. Stick around until the very end, because our number one spot looks like an alien planet, but people call it home every single day. Number 14. Setenil de las Bodegas, Spain. Imagine living with 1,000,000 tons of solid rock hanging right over your television. That is daily life in this small Spanish town. Instead of building houses on top of the cliffs, the residents built them directly into the cliffs. The rock formations act as natural roofs and walls. It saves a lot of money on roofing, but it means your ceiling is a literal mountain. Walking down the street feels like walking through the jaws of a giant stone monster. The sun barely hits some of these roads, keeping the homes naturally cool during the blazing hot Spanish summers. People have lived here for thousands of years, and they are not planning to leave anytime soon. It is a beautiful, terrifying mix of human design and raw nature. Number 13. Baarle-Nassau, Netherlands and Belgium. This place is an absolute nightmare for mail delivery workers. It is a town shared by both the Netherlands and Belgium, but it is not a clean split. Instead, it is a messy puzzle of 22 tiny pieces of Belgium trapped inside the Netherlands, and a few Dutch pieces trapped inside those. The border lines run directly through streets, parks, and even people's living rooms. Your front door could be in the Netherlands, while your kitchen window sits in Belgium. To figure out where you actually live, residents look at their front door design and their street number flag. If the border cuts your house in half, your official nationality is decided by which country your front door opens into. Number 12. Büsingen am Hochrhein. This is a German island trapped entirely inside Switzerland. Physically, it is surrounded by Swiss land, but politically, it belongs to Germany. This bizarre situation creates massive confusion for the people living there. The town has two different postal codes, two different phone country codes, and residents can use both German euros and Swiss francs at the local supermarket. If an emergency happens, both the German and Swiss police forces show up to handle the situation. The kids go to a German primary school, but often move to a Swiss high school later, leaving them with a strange mixed identity. Number 11. Hallstatt, Austria. This stunning lakeside village is squeezed into a space that is way too small for it. It sits on a tiny strip of land between a massive mountain wall and a deep alpine lake. Space is so incredibly limited here that the town cannot even expand its cemetery. For generations, residents had to dig up older skeletons after 10 years, dry the bones, paint them with flowers, and stack them in a local bone house to make room for new burials. The village is so uniquely beautiful that a Chinese mining company actually built a full-scale, identical copy of the entire town in China. Living here means dealing with thousands of tourists taking photos through your kitchen windows every single day. Number 10. Cuberpeti of Europe, Guadix, Spain. If you hate noisy neighbors and hot weather, this hidden Spanish community is your dream location. Located in southern Spain, Guadix looks like a normal town at first glance, but look closer at the surrounding hills and you will see hundreds of white chimneys sticking straight out of the dry dirt. Over 4,000 people live completely underground here. These desert caves were dug out centuries ago to escape the brutal summer heat. Inside, the temperature stays a perfect 20 degrees Celsius all year round without any air conditioning. It is completely silent, pitch black when you turn off the lights, and feels like living inside a luxury bunker. Number 9. Giethoorn, Netherlands. Imagine a world with absolutely no cars, no traffic jams, and no loud honking. Welcome to the Dutch village where roads simply do not exist. The entire town is connected by a web of narrow water canals and over 170 small wooden bridges. If you want to visit your neighbor or buy groceries, you have to jump into a small electric boat or walk along the narrow footpaths. The loudest sound you will hear on a typical morning is the quaking of ducks or the gentle splashing of oars. In the winter, the canals freeze solid, turning the entire village into a giant ice skating rink for the locals to commute to work. Number 8. Monemvasia, Greece. This medieval town is completely invisible from the Greek mainland. It was built on the back of a giant rocky island that broke away from the coast during an ancient earthquake. The only way in is through a single, narrow walkway. The town hangs on the edge of a cliff, looking out over the blue Mediterranean Sea. The streets are too narrow for vehicles, so residents have to carry their groceries up steep stone stairs by hand or use donkeys to move heavy items. It feels like stepping back into the year 500, with giant stone walls protecting the residents from the modern world outside. Number 7. Gibraltar, the runway town. Gibraltar is a tiny British territory connected to the southern tip of Spain, dominated by a massive rock mountain. Because space is so tight, the builders had to lay down the main highway directly across the active runway of the international airport. Every time a plane wants to land or take off, traffic traffic lights turn red, barriers drop, and pedestrians have to wait patiently on the sidewalk while a massive Boeing 737 blasts past them. The residents are completely used to it, checking flight schedules the way normal people check bus timetables just to avoid being late for work. Number 6. Mount Athos, Monastic Peninsula, Greece. Imagine a place in Europe where the biggest rule sounds like a glitch in modern life. This is a real self-governed monastic peninsula where women are literally not allowed to enter at all. Not a hotel policy, the entire region runs like a 1,000-year-old no girls allowed server. Over 20 monasteries sit on cliffs above the sea, and monks live completely cut off from modern chaos, cars, and basically anything trending on the internet. Life here is silent, strict, and oddly frozen in time. Visitors are only male pilgrims, and even they need special permission to enter. It feels less like a place on Earth and more like a medieval operating system still running in 2026. Number 5. Monsanto, Portugal. The residents of this Portuguese mountain village made a bold design choice. They decided never to move the giant boulders surrounding their hill. Instead of clearing the land, they built their homes around, under, and inside these massive stones. You will see houses where a 200-ton granite boulder forms the actual wall or squeezes down onto the roof like a giant paperweight. Walking through the village feels like navigating a giant stone maze. The residents have adapted perfectly, carving steps directly into the stone slopes and adjusting their doorways to fit the natural curves of the mountain. Number 4. Civita di Bagnoregio, Italy. Known as the Dying Town, this breathtaking Italian village sits on top of a crumbling plateau of volcanic rock. Over the centuries, massive landslides and erosion have caused the edges of the cliff to break away, swallowing ancient buildings into the valley below. Today, the town is completely isolated, connected to the mainland by a single narrow pedestrian footbridge that hangs high in the air. Only a handful of permanent residents stay here during the winter. Living here means watching the very ground beneath your feet slowly vanish over time, making it a beautiful but disappearing home. Number 3. Longyearbyen, Norway. Located deep inside the Arctic Circle, this is the northernmost town on Earth. It is a place of extremes where the sun does not rise for months during the winter and does not set at all during the summer. But the weirdest part is the local law. It is technically illegal to die here because the ground stays permanently frozen. Human bodies do not decompose in the soil. If someone becomes severely ill, they are flown to the Norwegian mainland immediately. Furthermore, whenever you leave your house, you are legally required to carry a high-powered rifle because wild polar bears outnumber the human residents. Number 2. Castellfollit de la Roca, Spain. This jaw-dropping Spanish village is built on a volcanic cliff that is less than 2 cars wide in some spots. The houses line up in a single, tight row right along the edge of a basalt rock wall that drops 50 meters straight down into a river valley. From a distance, it looks like the entire town could slip off the edge at any moment. The residents have a stunning, unobstructed view of the surrounding landscape, but stepping out into your backyard requires a massive amount of bravery. Number 1. Neft, Daşları, Oil Rocks, Azerbaijan. Our final spot is easily the strangest industrial community on Earth. It is a full-scale city built entirely on metal stilts over the Caspian Sea. Originally started as a single oil platform in 1949, it expanded into a massive network of artificial islands connected by over 300 kilometers of bridges and roads. Thousands of oil workers live here for weeks at a time. The floating city features multi-story apartment buildings, a local bakery, a green park with real soil brought from the mainland, and even a football pitch. It is a massive, rusting monument to human engineering, sitting miles away from dry land. It is absolutely incredible to see the extreme places humans will go to build a home. Which of these 15 weird places would you actually want to live in for a week? Let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this wild journey across Europe, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next adventure. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.